The UK House of Lords has called for an immediate ban on all loot boxes within video games. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Strife. This is Daily Strife, the bite-sized show about geeky gossip and nerdy news. So if you'd like to be kept up to date on what's going on in the world, make sure you subscribe, then ring the bell icon so you get all the notifications. Let's have a look at what the UK House of Lords is discussing today. So the UK House of Lords has called for a ban on loot boxes and gambling mechanics within video games. Now this sounds pretty serious, but what does that actually mean for the industry, and what powers does the House of Lords even have? Let's examine that. The UK Parliament is made up of several factions and sub-factions within those groups, and they all combine to form the government of the United Kingdom. There are two relatively famous collections of people, the House of Commons and the House of Lords. Now, the House of Commons is the democratically elected representatives of the country and the English counties. There are 650 seats, and if you run for an election as a local MP and win, you will become a member of the House of Commons. The House of Lords, however, is a little bit different. It's not a voted position. It's a more ceremonial position, and as the name suggests, it's normally limited to those of a much higher standing. You will be considered a lord, hence the name House of Lords. Now, it's not actually blindly loyal to the government-elect at the time, meaning it doesn't just agree with whatever the elected governments say they're going to do. It's actually quite the opposite. The job of the House of Lords is to question the decisions that the government makes and provide new questions and new ideas for the government to consider. It serves as kind of a check and balance against the government's power. The House of Lords must make sure that the government is acting in the country's best interests, and if it sees that the government is lacking in any area, either in its response to an event or in its lack of consideration of something, the House of Lords will say, hey, consider this. Now, the House of Lords doesn't exactly have the power to veto government or royal decisions, but their opinion and the decisions the House of Lords makes are taken very seriously by the government-elect and the rest of Parliament. So when the House of Lords speaks, Parliament listens. So now let's look at the latest. The House of Lords Gambling Committee, a small group of lords focused entirely on gambling regulation, would like video game loot boxes to be classified under the 2005 Gambling Regulation Law because they are classified as, and I quote, games of chance. Now, the House of Lords would also like this classification to apply immediately, like right now consider them gambling. The reason for this is being classified under the gambling law would give the UK government much more power to regulate and control what games can and cannot add as loot boxes. And the UK is seeing quite a substantial rise in gamers aged 11 to 16 who are spending more and more money on loot boxes, which is a rather concerning statistic. Basically, they are worried that kids might become gambling addicts. Now, Lord Grade, who is in charge of the Gambling Regulation Committee, has stated there is a connection between people buying loot boxes in games and those who become gambling addicts or have gambling severely impact their life, and he's kind of right, but also kind of not. There have been studies that have shown people who have gambling issues already also spend more money on loot boxes when the opportunity is there. But this is a causal link and not a causal link. Basically what that means is people who gamble already are more likely to go and buy loot boxes. But there is no proof in the reverse. There is no proof that people who open loot boxes then go on to become gambling addicts. So there is a link, but it's kind of one way and not the other way. Now, the House of Lords also correctly this time points out that esports are one of the fastest growing sports markets, and online gaming is drawing in record number of both players and viewers, many of them younger. We're talking age 10 to 18. And as these games grow in popularity and more younger gamers are coming to accept the inclusion of loot boxes within games, it's becoming normalized. It's totally accepted. If you want a rare item in a game, you've got to gamble for it. And if you take the chance, you don't get it, you lose money. If you take the chance and you do get it, you feel that intense rush of winning. That's one of the main factors in people becoming gambling addicts. The intense elation of victory against incredible odds. And either way, it's going to be a dangerous standard for the largest growing sector in the world to set the normalization of gambling is necessary. So what would a regulation actually look like? I mean, say Parliament took this seriously, what would actually happen? Well, there's a country that's done this already, so we can have a look, and that is Belgium. Now, Belgium declared gambling mechanics and loot boxes in games as illegal back in 2018, and any company doing it can face prison time. And I quote, double the time if minors are involved. So Belgium are pretty serious about protecting their kids. Good on you, Belgium. Now, to reach this law, Belgium investigated 4 major games: Star Wars Battlefront 2, the latest one, Overwatch, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and FIFA 18, and it found only one, Star Wars Battlefront 2, was not in violation of the gambling law. And this was only because EA halted the microtransactions and loot boxes in the game after they faced major backlash, major negative feedback about the opening of that game. I'll talk about that a bit more later on. So why didn't the UK and the US follow this law? Well, politicians put forward a few reasons. The main ones were, when you pay for a loot box, you always get something, meaning it's not actually gambling. It's paying for a known factor. But what the known factor is does change. So when you buy a loot box, you are effectively accepting you're going to get one of the multiple things within it, and you'd be happy and content with any of them. So not gambling, it's just buying a variety of things that you don't get to choose. The thing inside the loot box, they then also said, is only usable within the game, meaning you're giving money to the game for a reward within the game, and it's just another way of supporting the game. Effectively, you are just showing financial support, and anything back is a bonus. And then the third, much wider reaching reason. Laws are really complicated things, because once a law exists, it can be interpreted in many ways. Let's say the law on loot boxes stated they were games of chance because you couldn't be sure of the contents within and were therefore gambling. Well, under that definition, you wouldn't be able to buy Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic the Gathering card booster packs because the cards within are unknown. Okay, maybe amend the law to say it's only video games. Well, that will still push Magic Arena away. You're buying online packs and you're gambling for cards. Laws are often super slow to change because the people making them need to consider every possible implication, the wider reaching tendrils of that law on society, and completely unrelated parts of life. One law meant for one thing can absolutely be used to justify or condemn a totally unrelated thing, provided the wording fits. And for those of you wondering why game card booster packs don't count as gambling, it's because the card game makers do not now, have not ever, and never ever will acknowledge that the cards within have any intrinsic value. And if they're all valued at no value, then it's not gambling, as packs are all effectively worth 0. It's why you can't buy single Magic the Gathering cards directly from Wizards of the Coast, because if they sold them as singles, they'd be acknowledging the cards have varying different values, and booster packs would then potentially fall under the gambling law. But is there a less extreme step we could take before like an outright gambling related ban? A lot of people have called for all loot boxes in all games or games of chance to actually show the odds of receiving any given item. So let's say the loot box advertises 5 specific things with one super rare item, and the rarest is featured prominently in the advert. It's at the front, it's the rarest, coolest thing you could get from this box. You would then actually have some text somewhere on this poster or this advert showing chance for this item is 0.00005%. So people can actually make an informed choice, ask themselves if those odds are worth that item. Now even that could go either way. People will either see the tiny number and think, no way, no point, I will save my money, or they'll think, so there's a chance, and if I get it, almost no one else will have it. Reducing the drop rate could actually play up to the more extreme gambler and collector, so that's something to consider. Now, if you're a fan of Reddit like me, you may remember the infamous Reddit post where EA tried to defend microtransactions and loot boxes, explaining to the community how they were a good thing in Star Wars Battlefront 2 and how Vader should take 40 hours of gameplay to unlock. It's where the famous pride and accomplishment meme came from. And because of EA being so massively out of touch with the rest of the world, it became the most downvoted comment in Reddit history. Basically, EA said, spending money on a game is not only good, but rewarding and fun. And everyone went, no. So if people and players hate them that much, then why do companies include them? Oh, come on, you already know why. It's because they work. People like opening stuff. People like the thrill of the mystery. It's the grown-up version of the Kinder Egg toys, or seeing what McDonald's Happy Meal toy you got, or a mystery box that you bought from a website. The unknown is exciting, and people are willing to drop a few quid or a few dollars here and there for the thrill and the hope of a rare item. They are incredibly profitable decisions to put loot boxes in. Any marketer would do it. And if you've got self-control, and if you are financially stable, then there is nothing wrong with spending your own money how you want. Drop a few quid, drop a few dollars on it, see if it gets the rare item, have the excitement of it, take a gamble and see if you get lucky. But remember, most of these games and loot box mechanics are being aimed at children. Developers know that a younger mind with money won't be as discerning and definitely won't have as much self-control as an adult. And they will throw all of their money away at the chance of a rare item. And this is the person that loot boxes are aimed at, and this is the person that the loot box gambling law is aimed at protecting. Now, if Parliament consider this, I'll keep you updated. I'm interested to see what the government choose to do, and I hope that if they do introduce a law or include loot boxes within the gambling law, it doesn't have far-reaching implications that we can't see now. Thanks for watching. If you'd like more daily geek and nerd news, then click subscribe and ring the bell so you get all the notifications. If you've enjoyed this video, then a like is much appreciated. And leave a comment down below if you want to chat about this regulation. I try and respond to as many as I can. If you want to chat live, then come and join me on Twitch. A massive thank you to all my supporters on Patreon who make all my videos possible. Check the description below for links to both the Patreon, Twitch, Twitter, and our Discord chat. And as always, have a great day.